If you don't say you don't consent, if you don't ask whether you're being detained, or if you're free to go, the courts treat that entire encounter as if you consented to it. In every single case where a court is going to set out to decide whether an officer acted reasonably, unlawfully, or whatever, the very first thing they have to do is determine whether there was a seizure that implicates the Fourth Amendment. And the first hurdle to that is to ask the question, was this a consensual encounter? If the answer is yes, if you never expressed your objection, if you never asked if you were free to go, if you never told the officer you didn't want to engage, then legally, for the purposes of all of the case law that I know about in Fourth Amendment jurisprudence, you have consented. A seizure, at its core, is the government revoking your free will. So, for the court to find that a seizure happened, something must occur that would signal to a reasonable person that they are not free to leave and they are not free to continue along exercising their free will. That can happen in one of a few ways. One, you state you do not consent and you clarify whether or not he's giving you a lawful order that you have to obey. And if he says yes, and then you submit, then you have been seized. Or if you're being pulled over and the officer turns on the blue lights, you are submitting to the show of authority by the blue lights, you pull over, you've been seized, or the officer uses physical force. That is a situation where you're like, hey, look, I don't consent to any searches or seizures. I'm going to walk away, and you walk away, and the officer reaches out and touches you and says, hey, don't go anywhere, don't flee, you're being detained. That's him using physical force to impede your movements, and that is also a seizure. If he uses a taser, if he uses a firearm, if he hits you with a vehicle, any application of physical force all counts as a seizure. But in the absence of force, physical application of force, you have an affirmative duty to create the record that you do not consent. Just like you have an affirmative duty to register that drill before you can invoke the warranty. So if an officer walks up and says, hey, can I see your ID? And you hand it over, that's consent. Even if you felt pressured, even if you felt intimidated. If that same officer says, hey, can I see your ID? And you say, no, I don't consent to any searches or seizures. Are you going to arrest me if I don't give you my ID? What crime do you suspect me of committing? All of those things put the officer on notice that you're at least questioning whether or not he has the authority to seize you. And then if he says, I want to see it because I think A, B, C, or D, and you say, I will give it under duress or under threat of arrest, but otherwise I'm going to say no. If he is satisfied with you saying no and satisfied with you walking away, you are not seized. If you try to say no and try to walk away and they lay hands on you, you are seized. Or if they threaten to arrest and you voluntarily give it, then you are seized. But if you can walk away